Yo guys, Punkrat another video. A lot of you guys have been playing this game for a really long time, and with that you've probably experienced so many Darkmoon Fairs in the past. And that's because the Darkmoon Faire is one of the oldest events in World of Warcraft history, and unlike the seasonal events, it's here every single month. Well, if you guys are a fan of the fair, then you'll be really excited for the next phase that's hitting live servers with Blackwing Lair, with tons of activities and prizes that you guys can take a part in. So we already covered Blackwing Lair a ton. With this video, however, we're going to be talking about everything that you can expect with the Darkmoon Faire. But real quick before we get into the video, once again I'm teaming up with Drop, formerly known as Match Drop, to bring you guys an awesome product. It's the COS 54X ISO gaming headset. COS prides itself on high quality audio for an affordable price. No need to spend hundreds of dollars on a gaming headset to get the job done. For those of you guys looking for something affordable yet comfortable without compromising on the audio quality, this headset is the one for you. It's a lightweight headset with a cushioned elastic adjustable headband which molds to your noggin. Fogger. Very comfortable ear pads which feel very nice resting on your ears for hours of gameplay. I use this headset for many hours already personally, and honestly for the price it's a great buy. The microphone plugs in manually into the headphone structure with a fully adjustable bending mic so you can place it wherever you'd like. And this also gives you the option of plugging in an auxiliary cable if you want to use it as a basic headphone. It's a great buy. I'd recommend it for those of you guys who don't want to overspend on computer accessories, and honestly the best part about the headset is how comfortable it is. It's really lightweight and comfy on your head, so check out the link in the description and let's get into the video. So like I just alluded, the Darkmoon Faire hits the game once a month. So for 1 week out of every month we're going to have access to it. And you might think, so what, it's just the Darkmoon Faire, it doesn't really affect the game that much. But it actually has a pretty deep impact on how guilds are playing, on the market, and on itemization as well. So on the Horde side, the fair spawns right outside of Thunderbluff. Right as you go down the lift on the south side of the city, in the valley over there, there's just a beat out path, and around there you're gonna have the Darkmoon Faire. And then for Alliance, it's right next to Goldshire and Elwyn Forest. So you go to Stormwind, just walk out, and just south of Goldshire, right off the road, the Darkmoon Faire is present. So what exactly can you do at the fair? There's actually quite a bit. We've got Flick, who's a vendor that sells heavy leather balls. So trust me, when the Darkmoon Faire hits, you're gonna be seeing tons of people playing catch. You might wanna get your baseball glove out for that one. He also sells tree frog box and wood frog box. So these are just two summonable pets, and basically you could just bring out a little frog that'll follow you around. I know a lot of you guys are collecting, so this is your chance to get access to a frog. The next vendor is the Darkmoon Faire food vendor, who sells a bunch of food that you wouldn't otherwise have access to. It's just exotic food. We've got the crunchy frog, the Darkmoon dog, we've got the deep fried candy bar for all of you fatties that love deep fried Mars bars, although for some reason this one's way more expensive than everything else. We've got the pickled Kodo foot, red hot wings, and the spiced beef jerky. Honestly, there's no real reason to buy any of this food. Maybe some of it's discounted, I'm not 100% sure, probably not the deep fried candy bar. But yeah, you've got some festive food here to go to the fair. The next thing that you can do at the fair are the minigames, specifically referring to battle tanks. So back in the early 2000s, I don't know if you guys remember battle bots that used to play on the Discovery Channel, but it's basically similar to that. So you get control of these little tanks, these little robotic sort of battle bots, I guess you could say, and then you can challenge an enemy and you guys can fight with your little robots. This has actually been a tradition that's lasted throughout many different expansions, and the robots have gotten, I think, more interesting throughout the time. I can't really remember, I stopped taking part in this a really long time ago, but as a kid I have fond memories of having fun with the little mini games, the little battle tanks, and it's something that you definitely want to take part in if you've never experienced it before. And it'll probably be a lot more fun if you have some Darkmoon Special Reserve before you go and play the minigames. So the Darkmoon Special Reserve is actually a specific alcohol that's tied to the Darkmoon Faire, and it's an extremely strong beverage, so it'll get your character knocked out pretty fast. Now speaking of pets, since I guess the battle tank is kind of like a little pet that you control, there's actually a non-combat pet that you can get aside from the frog that you just buy from the vendor. So if you guys know, during the Grim Guzzler event in Blackrock Depths, you have to talk to that green goblin guy. I think his name is Splugger or something like that, and he sells the Dark Iron Ale mug. And then you have to get, I believe, 6 or 8 of them and trade them to the Dark Iron Dwarf who's right next to him. He's gonna pop the keg and the door's gonna open. Well, if you use 2 of those Dark Iron Ale mugs, you can hand them in to acquire an unhatched jubbling egg. This is kind of similar again to things that we've seen in retail, where you're gonna have an egg and eventually it's gonna hatch after some time. And once it hatches, you're gonna get a Jubling's tiny home, which is gonna give you a permanent non-combat companion pet that you can summon whenever you want. So you pet collectors out there, That's 2 extra pets that you don't have access to. Now, probably the most important vendors that you have are the exotic goods vendors. You'll have these 2 guys parked up next to each other who actually sell some really interesting goods. The first one is going to sell a ton of scrolls, health pots, mana potions, vials. For the most part, a lot of the stuff is pretty low level, but one thing that's going to be camped, and I mean hard camped by an alt, are the high level scrolls. So the high level scroll of strength and scroll of agility, most likely people are going to be there on interval with their alts trying to buy them every single time they respawn. This is because it's actually used as a consumable and endgame rating, and people are trying to stack up on as many as possible. The next exotic good vendor sells herbs, so we'll have Mage Royale, Earth Root, Life Root, Wild Still Bloom, King's Blood, Khadgar's Whisker, Heavy Leather, bows, Sylvan Shortbow, Dent Shortbow, Sturdy Recurve, Thick Leather, Rugged Leather, Medium Leather, Ghost Mushrooms, which is actually huge, Fine Shortbow, Bruce Weave, Daring Dirk, Salt, Enchanted Leather, Big Stick, Dream Foil, Golden Sansom, the Darkmoon Ring, which is probably the worst ring on planet Earth, the Darkmoon Necklace, which is kind of like the Tooth of Nar, it's actually pretty good, 1 Greater Frost Protection Potion, which is pretty much just profit. If you can stack up on as many of these as possible and hold them till next, you might make a nice little flip. But trust me when I say people are going to be hard camping these vendors with their alts and probably have the timers and just log in every single time they respawn, and it's going to be empty every single time you go. So the next thing that I want to talk about is the Darkmoon Cannon. This is one of the most old school events, or I guess old school things that you can do in the Darkmoon Faire. So as you make your way there, there's going to be this giant cannon with a little bit of a wood ramp that's built around it. You can click the cannon and get loaded inside. Then, probably what you would expect, it's going to shoot you off into the air. Then once you land, you're going to break your legs and die a horrible tragic death. In World of Warcraft, there's no life insurance, so your kids are pretty much screwed. No, but for real, you'll actually get a slow fall. You'll get these wings, I believe, or maybe that's in the Burning Crusade, but you will get a slow fall effect, and you're just gonna hover over and I guess look at the landscape as you're falling down. It's fun. You're probably going to want to do it once just to have the experience, just to get back in those nostalgic times of playing World of Warcraft back then, and then that's pretty much it. But it's definitely a very iconic part of World of Warcraft's Darkmoon Faire from back in the day. So that's pretty much all of the random stuff that you can do in the fair. But what about the endgame rewards? What about things that actually pack a punch and affect your character at level 60? Well, you can do that as well. So the first thing is tickets and rewards. Like any fair out there, you're able to take part in little events, get tickets, and then once you've accumulated a certain amount of those tickets, you're able to hand them in for epic rewards. So there's a ton of quest NPCs. There's the world's strongest lady, there's Kronos, he who never forgets, basically just these weird kind of circus freak characters that are scattered around, and they're going to have quests that you're able to do where you'll be bringing them mats or armor pieces or crafted materials, which you can complete and then get tickets as a reward. Some of the quests are actually profession specific, so for blacksmithing, engineering, and leatherworking, you're able to hand in crafted items for tickets. So for blacksmithing, you're able to hand in all of these varyingly expensive items for a specific amount of tickets. Like you see here, you can hand in 3 big black maces for 12 tickets. Engineering, you can hand all of these in for tickets. And then leatherworking, you can do all this. But you don't need to have one of those professions in order to hand anything in. You could also hand in basically like vendor trash or beast item drops. Here's the list, and a bunch of these you might have seen that I've covered in previous videos. So for a lot of these items, there might actually be an opportunity for you to make some gold if you can get them for cheap now, although people have honestly been on this for the last couple months. But the target buyer is definitely going to be people who are trying to blast to get exalted with the Darkmoon Faire. So here's the list of what you can start selling. Now, what do you get with those tickets? This is by far the most exciting part of the whole fair in general, although some of them are pretty hard to get considering you need a ton of tickets to get them. Let's go through the list. The first is the Darkmoon Flower. This you only need 5 tickets in order to obtain, so it's pretty much everyone's going to do at least probably 1 quest or 2 quests to get the 5 tickets and then get this. You can get the minor Darkmoon prize, which contains a level 20 to 25 equipment or 10 slot bag. This is 5 tickets as well. You can get last month's mutton, which is basically just a stick of meat that you can use as a one-handed mace. It's actually pretty cool, honestly. This is probably one of my favorite rewards. You can get the lesser Darkmoon prize, which contains a level 30 to 35 equipment. It can have low-level gems, a 12 slot bag. The greater Darkmoon prize, which will give you 46 to 50 green equipment, higher level gems, or even potentially recipes. This you can get lucky and get some pretty nice stuff or have some disenchanting mats from. Next up, you can get the Darkmoon storage box, which is a 14 slot bag, and interestingly enough, it can be sold. This is for 50 tickets, and then you can get last year's mutton, which is again kind of the same thing, except this one's much bigger and looks cooler, and it's higher level. This is probably the one that I would go for if you're just looking to have a cheesy slab of meat in your hand that you can slap people on the head with. That's once again 50 tickets. But the biggest prize that you can get are the epic neck pieces. We've got the amulet of the dark moon and the orb of the dark moon. These are actually incredibly good. In order to obtain these, you need 1,200 tickets. So it's either going to take a ton of time or a ton of gold in order to obtain them. Now, the amulet of the dark moon is actually a kind of infamous item just because it's very good in PvP. These kind of trifecta stat items are very popular in a PvP scenario. For a warrior, it'll give them 1% chance to crit, 10 strength, and 10 stamina, and a lot of Grand Marshals that I've seen in the past, they've included this in their itemization. Now the Orb of Dark Moon, again, it's pretty damn good. It's got 10 stamina, 8 spirit, and 22 spell power. Kind of similar to the Choker of Enlightenment from Molten Core. It's a good entry-level caster neck piece that, you know, you might want to go for. And the fact that it gives 11 stamina makes it pretty damn good for PvP as well. But the epics don't end there. There's actually more epics that you're able to get, which I briefly covered in the last video, and these are the Darkmoon cards. There's 4 of them in total, and in order to get the epic trinket, you have to complete the deck. So you're gonna need to get the 2 through 8, which are honestly super easy. They just drop off humanoids and undead creatures from level 45 to level 60 all over the world. People are going to be getting them as they level up, as they farm, whatever they do. You're going to put them on the auction house. Most of them are going to be pretty damn cheap. But then the expensive one, or the hard one to get, is the ace for each deck. The ace will drop off of a boss. So we've got the beast deck, the elementals deck, the portals deck, and the warlords deck. The warlord deck gives you this trinket, which is kind of random, not great. It just has a chance of healing you as you do damage. The warlord's ace you get from King Gordok in Dire Maul. It's probably going to be the least valuable one. The portals deck, which is the trinket that actually has a chance to res you with 20% health and mana on a 10% chance. This ace drops off Darkmaster Gandling in Scholomance. The elementals deck, which is a melee DPS trinket, it's pretty damn good, very popular in PvP, very good for Pharaohs and Rets. This ace can drop off Hydrospawn in Dire Maul, so doing jump runs might be your thing. Lord Incendius in Blackrock Depths, the Wind Reavers in Silithus, or Avalanchean in Ashara, and then the most popular one, which is the Darkmoon card Blue Dragon, one of the best healer trinkets in the entire game, even good in the Burning Crusade. You get the ace off the beast in Upper Blackrock Spire. I think it's a 3% chance to drop, so people are gonna be doing UBRS like crazy, and if you get this, you just made bank. You're definitely gonna sell it for like at least 600 gold, maybe 1,000. I'm not exactly sure based on the economy of Classic. Now, the last part, and probably the most important part, even though the trinkets and everything else are quite important, those just affect specific players, but this is something that affects the meta of Classic in general. The last thing that we're gonna be talking about are the sage buffs. So at the Darkmoon Faire, there's a Njoll character who's dressed kind of like a wizard or whatever, and this guy is very important. Basically, when you interact with him, he's gonna put you through a questionnaire. So he's gonna have a question and then 4 answers. You're gonna have to answer the question as you see fit, and then you're gonna have to go through multiple different ones. It's basically like a personality test. And then based on the order that you answer his questions, he's gonna give you a specific buff. You can get all of these, but the only one that people really care about are the percent intellect one for healers and the percent damage one. But keep in mind that the Sage's buff for damage actually has a chance of proccing up to 10%. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get the full 10. It can proc anywhere from 1 to 10%. As you see here on my character, it says that I got the full 10, but if we hover over my character pane where it shows the damage, you'll see that I only got the +3 on top of the 100 base damage. I'm not sure how it's going to work out in Classic in respect to the agility and strength buff. I don't know if those are stagnant or they have a chance to proc from 1 to 10 as well, but we'll find out, I guess. And it's on a cooldown as well, so you can't just pop it over and over again trying to force out the 10, although you can do that if you're preemptive before raid, like trying to get up to that 10% for maybe like a day before raid time and then logging off until raid. You can just search Sage's buff question order in Google and you'll definitely get access to the order for every single buff that you might want to get. But the reason why this is so important is that guilds that are focused on speed clearing, guilds that are trying to push for times, really fast clears, they're going to schedule their competitive speed clear runs the week of the Darkmoon Faire. This is what my guild's doing, and this is pretty much what every guild out there is going to be doing that actually wants to push for fast times. So once a month, every time the Darkmoon Faire comes in, guilds are going to be getting all world buffs, all consumables that they possibly can, getting the 10% Sage's buff, and then heading to raid and trying to get get the best clear time possible. This is something that your guild might not have been aware of, so now you know, when you might want to schedule some epic raids around that. And also the next thing to keep in mind is that this is probably going to be one of the perfect times to sell consumables. So those 3 weeks before the Darkmoon Faire, you could be trying to snipe consumable mats or even consumables at a low price. And then once the Darkmoon Faire hits on that weekly reset and everyone's going to try to get the fastest clear possible, you can start selling that for a premium price. Whenever the Darkmoon Faire hits on that week, flasks are actually going to sell like hotcakes. So that's something you might want to consider. So there's the video. There's actually kind of a lot to cover. A lot of random stuff, some cheesy stuff, and then of course, the more important things that are actually relevant to endgame content. So hopefully you guys are excited for Darkmoon Faire. It's right around the corner, Blackwing Lair as well. It was announced that early February it's going to hit live servers. So good luck in Blackwing Lair, good luck in speed clears. Go farm your Darkmoon Faire rewards and tickets, because you know I will. Now if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Of course, you know the drill, soldiers. Hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new video straight out of the render oven. And with that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.